Welcome back. Sarah here. My pronouns are she, her, and today I wanted to share an update after a year of tarot tabling. I've changed my table setup a lot from what I showed in my vlog a year ago. I remember being so excited to film that vlog. I have not filmed a vlog since because it is so time consuming and it's just too much for me to keep track of when I'm just trying to focus on the tarot reading and the tarot presentations. But I've changed the setup a lot and also added a lot of decks for people to just look at and peruse. So I want to share the things that are on my tarot table now and the decks that people really like. Most of my markets have been at the same place as my first one, at Kubo Long Beach, and I'm still prioritizing doing markets at Kubo over any other space. They're part of a really big Filipino community, and the things that they stock and the audience that they attract are very queer, very progressive, very open-minded kind of people. These are the kinds of people that I want to reach the most. And so being at other more generic markets is just not appealing to me. I'd hate to go through all the trouble of setting up at like a larger market, especially if it's like outdoors and it attracts like hundreds of people. And maybe, yeah, I'll do more readings and make more money that way, but I'm not connecting as much with the people that I really want to connect with. And besides the staff at Kubo themselves, sometimes other organizers will also use Kubo as a venue for their own markets that they set up. Most recently, just last week, I vended at a market called Sore Thumbs Market, created by 3 vendors who are regularly at Kubo: Jessie of Pepino Matcha, Erica of Budding Erica, and Nikki of Kid Mandu Studios. Jessie told me that she had an awful experience where she was vending next to a stall selling AI art. It felt so gross for her to have her handmade ceramics next to someone who was just generating images based off of other people's art and just creating mishmash stuff from the internet. So that's why they created Sore Thumbs Market, with sore thumbs being a byproduct of putting your heart and soul into your art, making things by hand. Not just physical items, but even digital items as well. They hand-selected the vendors that they wanted to be a part of this first market to see how it would go. They have a lot of interest, and so they're looking forward to having another one maybe in June or otherwise. I really liked the vibe of the people who stopped by the Sore Thumbs Market and the other vendors too. It was just such a fun and lively experience on a Friday evening. And real quick, I'll show a vendor haul. So the things that I bought from the Sore Thumbs Market, it's just so fun seeing what other vendors bring. This is from Budding Erica. She makes bouquets of flowers as well as dried flowers. At my wedding 2.5 years ago, I had a bouquet of dried/preserved flowers. I liked that I could save them long term and not have to worry about changing the water and things like that. I bought this bouquet after the market ended, so I had like last pick of whatever she had in stock for the day. So I picked this brown, beige-ish purple bouquet. I also bought from Jessie of Pepino Matcha. She doesn't sell any matcha, but she's called Pepino Matcha to honor her Mexican, Japanese, and indigenous descent. I had a great conversation with her at the beginning of the market. She didn't see other ceramics that looked like hers on the shelves, so that's what inspires her to make her own ceramics. It reminded me of why I wanted to do TarotTube and why I want to keep showing up as a tarot reader out in the public space too. I bought this like rice cooker looking thing. It is so adorable. And then this other mug with this brown contrasted with the rainbow colors. I thought it was a perfect pair or complement to the Gentle Tarot by Marie in the Sky. Like, it just looks so good together. I asked her for her most imperfect one, and she immediately grabbed this one. It came out at a slant. The handle here is touching the bottom. This top and this bottom is kind of slanted. It's totally cute that way. I know just who to send it to, so she will receive this package later this week when I finally package it up. Also, here's a little rice cooker sticker. It's so cute. And there's little chips on the legs too. So she's making the future ones have like a wider set of legs, and they're shorter as well so that they don't chip off as easily when they're coming out of the kiln. It's so cool seeing this blend of influences and also knowing her personal story behind this. She's making this art as a way to reconnect with her roots and express what it's like to be indigenous, not just Spanish, as the indigenous peoples of New Mexico might be calling themselves after years and years and years of colonization and being conquered, I guess. Other ceramics that I bought were from a pair of friends. They vend a lot in the same markets and they always have their booths next to each other. It's so cute. Having vendor friendships is so cute. This one is like a clay desk buddy. It's from Cha Xiu. It's got this like side eye look. It looks so naughty and so mischievous. And on the inside, there's etched a little face as well. It's so personal. And from their friend, Foam Kiwa. This is an onigiri looking dish. I thought the nose and the eyes just looked so derpy. I also bought this hanging thing. It could be a necklace, but I'm probably just gonna hang it from somewhere for more decoration. It looks like a piece of toast or a piece of like milk bread from Japanese grocery stores as well. I can get really in my head about having to be perfect and polished and standard, I guess. So having these in my space will help remind me of like the joys of being quirky and looking odd. This will go up here. This will go here. Also, Phone Kiwa gave me this like little pouch that her mom made, and I almost denied it, but she said, look, my mom made it. You have to take it. It's so soft too. I have this little sticker from Viennese. Her shop name is V Artnese. She's been a regular at Kubo for like 2 years now. She does live drawings, little chibi caricatures of people, as well as selling handmade stuff like little fishy keychains. She had this homemade gacha machine made out of cardboard.
I'm sure there's times that doesn't change about
Oh my, ta-da! Now, about my own table. This is the tablecloth I use. It's actually a shower curtain that I bought secondhand, but it works pretty well for covering my table. I also drape these scarves on the sides to cover the table legs and make it look a little bit dressier. My favorite color scheme is blue, purple, that galaxy look. I also made this crochet star blanket ages ago. It's also nice as table decoration. And then I'll have a tarot cloth in my reading area. My favorite ones are this one by Spirit West Clothworks on Etsy, or this one by Zara of Kitten Chops. Yeah, so colorful. A visual timer to mark doing 10-minute readings. And on the topic of time, I've changed from doing a menu of tarot reading options of different times to just doing one standard reading of 10 minutes. And I'm also not charging upfront for readings. So this is what my sign looks like now. Tarot readings, 10 minutes, accepting tips, business name, and that's literally it. I also add some extra post-its that clarify no charge. And also people are welcome to just sit and chat, ask about tarot, art, etc. And I also write skeptics welcome. My whole mission with my table now is I want tarot to seem very approachable. And I want divination and tarot to seem like a fun interest or activity that people can get into regardless of spiritual beliefs or lack thereof. At my first tables, I also had handwritten readings that people could buy as well if they didn't want to have a sit-down face-to-face reading, but I stopped doing them pretty fast because, one, it was a lot of work to prep ahead of time, and they didn't sell very much or very well, and two, one person came up to me after purchasing hers and she asked me, what did it mean? And so I was like, okay, I just want to have a tarot reading face-to-face because I can actually explain myself better face-to-face and have a conversation with the querent. And most recently at the Sore Thumbs Market, I also added a couple of my crochet dolls to spruce up the place. Some people liked booping the little alien when they were getting their readings done as well. This is actually the alien from Toy Story. One of the eyes has fallen off inside there somehow, so I had to get another eye sometime and glue it on here. Right now, he's just a regular alien, but it's meant to be that 3-eye alien from Toy Story. Also from Sore Thumbs Market, Erica made these collages of every single vendor, and she even printed out a copy for each of us to have. It's so pretty. Designers, oh my god, you are amazing. Here's my cash box and my tip jar, just a reused mason jar. Yes, it is a cookie tin. I don't know how much of an experience this is among non-Asian families. In Asian families, there's always a joke that this is actually a sewing tin. It's not a cookie tin at all. So this just has all the extra bits and bobs. Little washi tape for help sticking things up. My business cards, which are just printed from perforated cardstock. And this custom wooden magnet nameplate. I bought this last year for my tarot tables and also for meetups so that people can remember my name. I kind of wish everyone had a name tag because it would be easier for me to remember everybody's name if I could just easily glance back and forth between their name tag and their face. I think it helps with the initial awkwardness as well when people know my name. Also at the most recent market, I brought this little notebook. It is from the creator of the I'm Here Oracle, Murphy Pines, who also lives in LA. I really like to plug the Tarot Art Store in Pasadena to everyone who seems remotely interested in looking at more tarot cards. And now I can actually write it down and give it to people so that they can really remember and not forget to visit Tarot Arts in South Pasadena. And it also helps for if I have other things that come to mind, like specific songs or books or blog posts that I would love for people to read and check out. And now, of course, let's talk decks. A lot of the decks that I'm about to show are independently published decks, so they are going to be more expensive than mass market decks. Independently published decks will go for like at least $40, $50, $60 or more dollars. These are the decks that I like to collect and enjoy for myself, and I bring them to markets because I want other people to have a chance to experience them, even if they can't or don't buy them for themselves. Please don't feel pressured to buy some really indie or expensive decks to bring to markets. Only do it if you really want to and it really matches with your own personality and your vibe. But don't buy expensive or luxury things just because you think you need to or because other people are doing it. Tarot reading at its core is the skill of putting cards together into a story and making that story applicable or helpful to the querent. And so you can use any tarot deck that you really vibe with the most. So there's a few categories of decks here. One is decks that people like to get readings with. Another is decks that I bring just for people to look at, even if they don't want readings with. And the third is decks that just have nice cards to put on display. Let's start with the third category, actually, the display decks, because that's the smallest category. So decks that I like to have on display are the Sacred Incantations deck, which rules of trans wisdom for every season. This deck is mainly geared towards trans people and gender-affirming messages, but I find them important for any type of community. I think these messages of being here for each other and also being true to ourselves despite all the pushback and violence against us, these are really important. I'd like to pull a couple of these that seem relevant to that market or to general societal feelings. So it'll look like this, little decorations over there. Ta-da! This extra card from the Way of the Panda Tarot, Dream Space, also matches well with my color scheme, blues and purples, so that one also gets taped on there. Now, for decks that are popular with querents, the Way of the Panda Tarot. The mini version was my first ever tarot deck, and it's still one of my favorites to read for myself or for other people. I find these watercolor illustrations of the pandas and these sceneries so approachable and so beautiful to look at. The Queer Tarot, I usually have these decks out without their boxes, so people don't always know right away that it is a queer tarot specifically, but a lot of people, whether they look or seem queer or not, really like this deck. It's so colorful and vibrant, and kind of retro too. It reminds me of that 70s like groovy aesthetic. I also bring this to have a Rider-Waite-Smith looking deck so that people who are somewhat familiar with the original images can see them in this queer tarot, but these are more interesting to look at than the original Rider-Waite-Smith imagery. The White Newman Tarot is an unexpected popular one. Livy of Crescent Dreams Tarot gifted this to me last year. I didn't quite vibe with it for myself, but when I brought it to a market, people really liked this one over the other decks that I had brought. This is one of the most spiritual or mystical looking decks that I have, so I'm glad that even if I don't really click with it for myself, other people enjoy it, and I can still read really easily with it. And a regular one that I'll start bringing is the Pip Speak Tarot. This is Marseille style, so different from the Rider-Waite-Smith. The guidebook that Zara includes here is amazing, and it helps me understand the original symbolism and choices of the tarot. A couple people liked learning about the original intentions of, like, for example, the swords being meant for status and for show instead of constant use, versus the batons or the wands being meant for blunt force, and anyone can make them. On that note, that's why I like to also bring a lot of decks for people to look at as well. I write a sign that says, feel free to look through, and also, please don't take my precious's teary-eyed face. So people are welcome to just sit and look through decks, whether or not they're getting a reading. And of course, people can request readings from any of these decks, not just the previous 3 or 4 that I showed. So some decks that I always bring that are very popular to look through. We have the Magic Pantry Tarot. This one is a food-themed deck by Cedar McLeod, who actually lives in California as well. The Magic Pantry Tarot combines Cedar McLeod's personal experience as a home cook with their signature brightly hued watercolor paintings and thoughtful multicultural approach to tarot symbolism. I really love the colors in this deck. Not only the colors of the foods, but also the colors of the people, the different skin tones. It's so rich and vibrant. I also bring the guidebook for the Magic Pantry Tarot because this is one of my favorite guidebooks. So whether or not I know the food or the other person knows the food, I can pull out the guidebook entry, read the keywords, and also some examples of the prompts or the questions that Cedar McLeod includes for each card. And people totally new to tarot can experience the essence of what a tarot reading is, using these cards as prompts to apply to our own situations. And they don't have to get bogged down in what exactly the Nine of Wands means. Tarot for the Great Outdoors. This deck features a lot of outdoorsy scenes and activities, even some indoors ones too, like climbing. I joke that this one lets me live vicariously through these people who are experiencing seasons because we don't experience many seasons here in Southern California. This one is also so vibrant and fun to look at. People can appreciate these scenes and try to read meaning from these cards even without knowing what these individual cards are supposed to mean. Mystical Cats Tarot is another really popular or eye-catching deck. People love cats, what can I say? And also, people love looking through to find their own cat or their favorite kind of cat. This one also feels really approachable because the scenes here are so expressive, and the cat's postures and poses, how they connect with each other, is also really easy to read. And I also bring the guidebook so that people can also see what a tarot guidebook is like, description of the card and what's happening in here, as well as advice and reverse meanings. These two aren't as massively popular as the previous 3, but I also do bring the Tarot of the Mystical Moments and the Gentle Tarot. Mystical Moments has this like fairy tale or storybook kind of vibe, so it's easy to look at these pictures and try to make a story of them as well, similar to looking through a children's book or at a comic book. And Gentle Tarot is a nice, minimal, subdued kind of deck with a lot of earthy tones. And some newer decks that I brought most recently, these are also very popular, so I will definitely be bringing them from now on. The In Good Time Tarot by Jake's Fortune Shack on Etsy. I still haven't used this for myself, but I figured just bring it to a market, see what happens. People love it for the same reasons that I love it. the expressions, the easy to read images, the contrast of the white figure versus the colored scenes. One person requested a reading with this, and they really enjoyed the disgruntled looking faces because even if the cards look scary, the faces kind of make it feel like, I don't know, like they're here grumbling along with you. I previously made this just a bedside deck, but now it's so comical and fun, I gotta bring it with me from now on to markets. The Pretty Prism Tarot, which I pre-ordered last year and received this year. Heads up, this is expensive. I paid $120 US for this. I know there's been a lot of Sailor Moon tarot decks, but I like the Pretty Prism Tarot more because it reminds me of the original artist's drawings, that like dreamy 90s style manga drawings. Also, I don't like how a lot of redrawings of Sailor Moon and these characters will make the characters look more white. The manga style is really the one for me. A couple of people requested readings with this deck, so I'm definitely bringing this one too from now on. And I know some people are concerned about having indie decks just out on your table in case people like spill water on them or people grab and go. I put the mass market ones near the edge of the table and these like more special ones a little closer to me so I can keep a better eye on them. But my table is like 4x6, it's not that big, so I can easily reach everything and see everyone who comes by. The Mam Tarot, which was made by artists in Vietnam, I also don't use this much myself, so I figured it would be a great show and tell deck on my table. The sight of Vietnamese food on the table is so appealing. People really, really liked looking at these cards, and similar with the cats. People like looking through and finding their favorite Viet foods, or at least foods that they recognize. One person who stopped by pulled out her favorite Viet food card and her friend's favorite Viet food card, and I read from the guidebook the history and context of that food, which region it came from, what it's made with, how or why it was made. So this deck and guidebook was a fantastic conversation starter. Last show and tell kind of deck here is the Oracle of 11, and I also bring along the companion book, which is the Tales of 11. One person actually requested the Oracle of 11 for her reading, and I realized I had forgotten the little guidebook. I'd only brought the big storybook. So her friend, who had just gotten his reading done, he was actually skimming through and reading the stories as we were puzzling over the cards on the table. But actually, that's why I changed my pricing model to just accepting tips instead of paying upfront, because I want the freedom to experiment and play around with the cards and for people to know that I'm learning along with them and we can make this a collaborative conversation or experience, not just me providing such a deep service. Honestly, my goal is to get more people interested in tarot and oracle. So me doing a reading is secondary to the fact that I want you to buy your own deck and do your own research and learning. So that's that for decks that I bring to markets and my recent vendor haul. Hello, is this an echo? I'm looking forward to continuing to be at Kubo LB in Long Beach, California. Please stop by and say hi if you're ever in the area. And if you have questions about markets or reading for other people, especially as a secular or skeptical tarot reader, let me know. I'd love to answer them and chat about them in future videos and stuff. That's all I got for today. Thanks for watching. Bye!